I'm Paul Schmidt. I'm with WisconsinReporters.com. I have a series of questions. I really appreciate how you've answered some of these questions, especially when there's been follow-up questions. I do have a couple questions. I want to make sure that I understand the process in which these rules have come into being. Wisconsin obviously has a strong tradition of shared government, participatory government, open meetings. Have there been any public hearings that have addressed these rules in which people could come to speak to their elected representatives to give their input?
Again, what we've used is the administrative code and interpreted that administrative code with our legal team to put together a policy. Now, the administrative code, if that's to be changed, that has to go through the legislature. And should they decide to change that, elected officials should decide to change that, as they certainly can, we would have to modify our policy to go along with whatever was in that.
And there have been changes to the administrative code. Those we're not living with the exact same administrative code, but those changes, like the number 4, the $50 an hour per law enforcement official, those are changes. Was there any public feedback or any public opportunity for discussion during the rulemaking process?
Rulemaking process probably means a little something different than developing a policy.
Developing the policy,
and in the policy, we worked with our legal team, and did we have a series of public hearings on that? No, we did not.
Okay.
And we aren't required to either.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's not just for me, it's for other people who are, I mean, a lot of questions throughout the entire state, which I'm sure you're aware. The second part of that is, was there any political input from elected representatives or outside political action committees who gave input to the Department of Administration for the creation of these rules?
You know, I don't recall that. Not from our legal team. Our legal team certainly. Have I heard that? Yeah, I'm sorry. Have I heard from both sides, from those who would like more restrictive, those who would like less restrictive? I certainly have. Our legal team has not had, to the best of my knowledge, has not had any other contact with those officials.
Did you hear from the less restrictive ones prior to the issuing of this?
Heard from both sides prior.
One more. One of the things that has been a theme through the meetings on Tuesday and today is that the citizens of Wisconsin, those who have been engaged in political speech in the last 10, 11 months, have had a great working relationship with the Capitol Police Department, Chief Tubbs in particular, and I think most of us would agree with that. It wasn't meant to be a speech, but that's been feedback that has been received, and one of the discussions that, again, themes of the last 2 days has been trust in that working relationship. One of the concerns that has come out of, again, the Tuesday meeting, and I hear it here again today, is where I feel and sense that there is a lack of trust from the citizens to the Department of Administration. Going back to the lack of transparency and democracy in the promulgation of these rules, there's been a concern that has arisen, for example, that the DOA's communications director worked for the George Bush White House and used government time, equipment, and email accounts to work for the Republican National Committee. So how can we trust that your department has not engaged political operatives, political action committees, Karl Rove himself, to promulgate these rules? Where is the trust? How can we trust those answers when you have a political operative working
in your department running communications?
And I think that anybody has the opportunity to move from any job that they'd like. And
this is the state of Robert Lafayette, open government, transparent government, and now you're asking us to trust a government which hires people who have worked for political operatives while working in a government capacity.
Would you suggest that we discriminate against people for
that's not discrimination.
That's an ethics violation.
You have stated that you do not wish to give legal answers. That is a legal opinion. That's not discrimination. I can, as an employer, I can say to an applicant, you have been found using company resource or governmental resources in doing a job while you're doing political work. I can discriminate. That's not discrimination. I can say to you, you know what? You've shown that you steal from your employer, and now you wish to come for the state, work for the state of Wisconsin. Why should I have you as an employee?
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to allegations made about.
That's not allegations.
They're not allegations.
Those are documents which are published.
And I will say for anybody here, you will decide whether or not you choose to trust the administration or not. Some of the people in this room have made that decision. This doesn't represent all of Wisconsin. This room represents a portion. And we have a job to do. And we believe in setting this policy, we are setting that everybody will have access to the Capitol, that we can do that in a safe and secure manner.
It's a bit of a naive question. I don't know a lot about law, but I understand in the Constitution the word shall not be abridged, the word bridge. That means shorten. So aren't you not supposed to shorten or condense our rights? Isn't that what you're doing?
If that's a constitution, again, as I said from the start, if you want to argue the constitutional law, this is not the forum
it's
to do
clear. It
that.
says never be abridged. I'm speaking for the Constitution.
Again, we believe we are on solid legal
Well,
ground.
where's your legal team?
Again, this is not the forum for that.
In the hiding. Where is the forum for that?
The forum for addressing
When is the legal forum going to take place?
the forum takes place.
When we're arrested. That's when it's going to be. Sir, I want you to read this play card.
The forum that
Sir,
you're talking about
I
will
want
take
you to
place
read this
in
play
the-
card.
in the court system that's available to
You
everyone.
choose not to, huh?
So you're going to arrest first and worry about legalities later?
If somebody chooses to challenge the legal standing of the law, they can certainly do that.
I've been told I'm not going to be in violation of any Wisconsin statutes if I choose to come here with 3 friends to, with protected free speech. I've been told I am not doing anything illegal, and you're going to tell me right now I'm going to be doing something illegal if I don't have a permit.
You've been told by?
My attorney.
If you rely on your attorney, rely on your attorney.
Why should I do? He's one of the best in the state.
Thank you. If I recall, I may be mistaken, I believe our state constitution actually guarantees access to this building.
Yeah.
Do you aware of that? I believe it does. And I'm not 100% certain, 98.5%.
Again, you may be an attorney, I'm not.
Okay. All right, well, I believe it does. And I believe that these policies are in direct contradiction to that language, but we'll leave that go. With the specific provision in this 22-page document, it's Roman numeral 4, sub E on page 10. And I'd just like to read just a bit, if I may. Individuals and organizations desiring to distribute literature on the Capitol grounds must also apply for a permit. Now, situation. Kelda Helen Royce is running for Congress. She decides to sit on the corner of the Capitol grounds and say, "Hi, I'm Kelda Helen Royce. I'm running for Congress. Would you please take my literature?" That is political speech at its finest. Aren't you abridging that with this provision? Aren't you telling Kelda Helen Royce or Governor Scott Walker or any politician in this state, you have no right to sit on that corner at the top of State Street and talk to passersby and give them your literature and say, "Hi, I'm running for this office"? That would prohibit it, would it not?
I can't give you the legal interpretation. But, however, certainly if that's seeking to, Oh, I'm sorry, do you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Usually we do permits for that. They'll call, ask if they need a permit, and we'll give them.
May I ask, seriously now, really? Anybody running for any office in the state, you are telling me before they go to the public and stand at the top of State Street and hand out literature, they have come to your office and gotten a permit for that? One, they should not have to, in my opinion, and I believe I'm right. But two, are you really telling me that happens with any frequency at all?
Yes. Not everyone.
Did you give me any
I'm
instance?
not going to commit myself to everyone. Many of them do.
Who is it?
Basically, after we tell them the reason we do the permits, so we don't overlap anyone. If we have another group there, we'll put them somewhere else.
So, if I may.
Many of them do.
If I may, Governor Scott Walker is standing on Wisconsin Avenue, okay, and Tom Barrett is standing on State Street. Who gets precedence then under the permit? Are they conflicting interests? And does only Governor Scott Walker get to hand out his literature? Or perhaps does only Tom Barrett get to hand out his? How do you make that determination?
It's content neutral. If there's enough space and it doesn't inhibit people's safety, yes, you can have more permits.
Would you agree that political speech is considered to be perhaps the most sacrosanct speech we have? Why would one need a permit to hand out their campaign literature? I cannot imagine, honestly.
I've never heard of that.
They do
Now,
them
I've lived
with
45 years in this country. I've
because
never
they
heard
don't
of
want to
that.
interfere with other things.
But it is-
If they have 20 people there, we'll try to relocate them to different corners, different areas, so they aren't interfering with each other, so they can say what they want to say.
And I won't
Or they
beat this
can handle that on their
I won't beat this to death any more than this one last question, if I may. I'm talking about a political candidate, herself or himself. I'm not talking about a group of 20. I'm talking about somebody running for political office, standing on the street, which they do all the time. Hi, I am so-and-so. I'm Kel to Helen Royce. I'm running for Congress. Please take my literature, and I hope you'll vote for me. You're telling me that they need a permit to do that? Honestly? Is that the answer?
They've applied for them.
All right.
I have another question. There's Isthmus magazines down there and other bunches. Do they need a permit to put out the Isthmus, which may or may not have political content? They're stacked up right down there and a bunch of other magazines. Do they need a permit to set
That's
those
also
on the shelf?
freestanding, that's also freestanding display.
Right. Do they need permits for that? Do you need to call, do we need to take those off the shelves till they get their permit?
Yeah, I think it's an exhibit as well.
Is that yes or no?
What do you know?
They
Explain
have
why.
done permits in the
Why?
past.
It's an exhibit.
Do they have one now?
At this point, no, they don't.
Then
because
take
we
it
have-
off the shelf.
Why not?
Again, we are in an educational period. We're not enforcing.
No,